my dad died on a Tuesday. The problem is, my mom told me he died when I was 3. My whole life I had a story. Clean. Simple. Sad, but manageable. Dad died in a car accident when I was 3. Mom raised me alone. We didn't talk about him much because there wasn't much to say. A few photos on her phone she never showed me. A middle name she gave me that she said she just liked the sound of. And one thing she said every single time I accomplished something, every grade, every game, every small win, she'd say, your dad would have been so proud. I used to think that was just something grieving parents say. I was wrong about that. I was wrong about almost everything. I was 17 when my mom got the call. I was in the kitchen. She was in the living room. I heard her say when, and then nothing for a long time. When she came in, her face was the color of paper. She sat down across from me. And she said, there's something I have to tell you, and I need you to let me finish before you say anything. She talked for 20 minutes. I didn't say a word. Not because I was being respectful, because I genuinely lost the ability to speak. Dad didn't die when I was 3. What happened when I was 3 was that he got a diagnosis. Something degenerative. Something that meant the next 10 to 15 years would be a slow and visible decline. And he made a decision, him and my mom together, that I would not watch that happen. That I would not grow up with the image of my father, disappearing in front of me year by year. That I would not carry that version of him. So they told me he was gone. And then he spent the next 14 years making sure I never knew he wasn't. My mom was shaking when she told me the next part. There was a man who showed up to every single one of my Little League games. Sat in the far back. Never talked to anyone. Always left before it ended. I remembered him vaguely. He used to say, good game, kid, when I walked past. I thought he was just some dad. He was my dad. The college fund my mom said came from my grandfather's insurance, Dad deposited into it every month. For 14 years. Never missed one. And my middle name, the one she said she just liked the sound of, it was his mother's name. His way of putting something of himself into me without me knowing he was still there to do it. I want to be honest about what I felt next. Because it wasn't sad. It was angry. White hot. I stood up from that table and I said things I'm not proud of. About the lie. About the years. About every time she said, your dad would have been proud, knowing he was alive somewhere watching me. I said, you let me grieve someone who wasn't dead. She didn't argue. She just sat there and nodded and said, I know, which made me angrier. I went to my room, slammed the door. And that's when I saw the box on my bed. Brown, worn at the edges. My name written on top in handwriting I didn't recognize. I opened it. Inside were envelopes. 17 of them, one for every birthday. Never opened, never sent, just written and kept. I started with the first one, age 4. Today you turn 4. Your mom says you've started making up songs. She sent me a video. I've watched it 61 times. Happy birthday, bud. I opened every single one, all the way to 17. His handwriting getting slightly harder to read toward the end, but never stopping. Not 1 year. The last envelope was different, thicker, dated 6 weeks ago, when he knew the end was close. It said, I know you probably hate me for this. That's okay. Hate is something you feel for people who are real to you, so I'll take it. But I need you to know, I never missed a single thing. Not one. Your mom sent me a photo every week. Every week. For 14 years. I have 8 or 84 of them in a box under my bed. I watched you grow up. I just made sure you never had to watch me disappear. That's the only thing I was ever sure about. I love you. I always did. I just loved you too much to let you watch me go slowly. So I went quickly instead, and stayed close. At the bottom of the box was one photograph. Just one. Creased down the middle like it had been folded and unfolded. More times than paper should survive. It was my 4th birthday party. I'm at the table. Candles in front of me. Cheeks full of air about to blow. My mom is beside me laughing. And in the background, so far back, you would miss him if you weren't looking, is a man standing near the fence. Hands in his pockets. Not smiling exactly. Just watching. The way you watch something you already know you're going to have to memorize. I went back to my mom in the living room. She was still at the table. Hadn't moved. I sat down across from her. And I asked her one thing. Did he know about the Little League games or did he come on his own? She looked at me and said, he never missed one. Not even when he had to drive 4 hours. He just needed to see you. He said watching you run the bases was the only time he forgot he was sick. And I thought about that man at the back of the bleachers. Saying good game, kid. Leaving before it ended. Every single time. And I finally understood. He wasn't leaving early. He was making sure I never had to watch him walk away.